probably don't.
So this is a story called The Old Woman and the Little Pig by Joseph Jacobs. So one day an old woman was cleaning her house and she found some money. And with this money she asked herself, what am I going to do? So she tells herself that she's going to go to the market and buy a little pig. And so she goes to the market and she buys a little pig. And on her way home, she encounters a stile. And a stile is just a ladder going over a fence. So she goes over the stile, but the little piggy can't go over the stile. So she goes a little bit further past the stile and she meets a dog. And so she says to the dog, "Dog, bite the little piggy so the little piggy will go over the stile so that I can go home." But the dog wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further and she meets a stick. And she says to the stick, "Stick, beat the dog so the dog will bite the pig so the pig will go over the stile so that I can go home." And the stick wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further and she meets fire. And so she says to the fire, "Fire, burn the stick so the stick will beat the dog so the dog will bite the little piggy so the little piggy will go over the stile. And if the little piggy goes over the stile, I can go home tonight." But the fire wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further and she meets water. And she says to water, "Water, quench the fire so the fire will burn the stick so the stick will beat the dog so the dog will bite the little pig. So the little pig will go over the stile so that I can go home tonight." But the water wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further and she meets an ox. And she says to the ox, "Ox, drink the water so the water will quench the fire so the fire will burn the stick so the stick will beat the dog so the dog will bite the little pig so the little pig will go over the stile and so then I can go home." But the ox wouldn't. So she went a little bit further and she met a butcher. And so she says to the butcher, "Butcher, kill the ox so the ox will drink the water. So the ox will drink the water, and so the water will quench the fire, and the fire will burn the stick, and the stick will beat the dog, and the dog will bite the pig, and so the little pig will go over the stile, and so then I can go home." But the butcher wouldn't. So the old woman goes a little bit further and meets a rope. And she says to the rope, "Rope, hang the butcher so the butcher will kill the ox, so the ox will drink the water, so the water will quench the fire, and the fire will burn the stick, and the stick will beat the dog, and the dog will bite the little pig, and so the little pig would jump over the stile, and so then I can go home." But the rope wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further, and she meets a rat. And so she says to the rat, "Rat, gnaw the rope, so the rope will hang the butcher, so the butcher will kill the ox, so the ox will drink the water, so the water will quench the fire, so the fire will burn the stick, and so the stick will beat the dog, so the dog will bite the little piggy, so the little piggy would jump over the stile, and then I can go home." But the rope wouldn't, but the rat wouldn't. So she goes a little bit further, and she meets a cat. And so she says to the cat, "Cat, eat the rat, so that the rat will gnaw the rope, and the rope will hang the butcher, and the butcher will kill the ox, and the ox will drink the water, and the water will quench the fire, and the fire will burn the stick, and the stick will beat the dog, and the dog will bite the little piggy, so the little piggy would jump over the stile, and then I can go home." And so the cat says, "If you go to the cow and get me some milk, then I will eat the rat." So the old woman goes over to the cow and asks the cow for some milk. And the cow says, "Go over to the haystack and bring me some hay, and I will give you some milk." So the old woman goes to the haystack and grabs hay and brings it back to the cow. And after the cow finishes eating the hay, the cow gives the old woman some milk. And then the old woman brings the milk to the cat, and the cat drinks all the milk, and then the cat eats the rat. The rat gnaws on the rope hangs the butcher, and the butcher kills the ox. The ox drinks the water quenches the fire, and the fire burns the stick, and the stick beats the dog, and the dog bites the pig, and the pig finally jumps over the stile, and that night the old woman went home.